Now I gotta ride or die.
So guys, welcome back to the channel. Today you join me from the driver's seat for 2016 Golf R manual being the real reason why we're here today, because I don't think I've ever driven a manual variant with over 400 horsepower. This is the prime variety of a Golf R in my opinion. But make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, but onwards that way to the B-rolls.
We're interrupting today's video to give a massive thank you to today's sponsor, Yes Auto. Yes Auto is the one-stop shop for buying any car, with an experience that's always easy and enjoyable. Navigating onto the website, you can select each brand that you want to look at, each model, and even down to colour variant. You can also select through the images, as well as looking at brand new cars in 360 degrees inside and out. I myself spend a lot of time just looking at cars for sale, so it's awesome to jump on the Yes Auto website to have a look at cars for sale. You can even do a smart search on new and used cars with an option to select cash price or monthly costs. Their aim is to make car buying easy and enjoyable. Yes Auto are the one-stop shop offering a simple, impartial way to configure and compare new and used cars from almost any manufacturer, with a whole load of clever tools and media content for total reassurance. Once again, a huge thank you to Yes Auto for sponsoring today's video. There is a link in the description to the Yes Auto website. Thank you so much again to Yes Auto for sponsoring today's video, but let's get back to the action.
So yes guys, today I wanted to take this car out because it's been a while since I've driven a manual variant of the Mark 7 chassis with a bit of power behind it. Now, first things first, the one thing I have to point out is that if you are out there trying to find a manual variant of the Mark 7 Varietied R, you have to buy one modified. Doing this yourself means that you are down a slight wormhole in the sense of modifications and actually running this sort of power through the Mark 7 chassis with a manual. Manual being the key here in this review-based content that I'm throwing at you today, because owning this car, you're going to go down the route of modifying it. Now, if you buy one completely standard, about 300 horsepower, the second you map it, or the second you throw a little bit more power through it, it's going to need a clutch. So first thing I'm going to point out here, because for some reason, these cars just can't take the power. Even out of the box, I've heard people at, the 300 horsepower threshold actually having problems with the clutch. And this one is actually running a Satch uprated clutch, which is exactly what you need to be pretty much first off putting into your car. If you, again, haven't bought one with that component put into it, you're going to find it a problem to actually put power through one of these. That's really the first thing. I'm not going to go on about it in this video, but that really is the first thing you need to know, because I know people out there that have gone and bought a manual one over the DSG, thinking that yes, that's great, I'm going to enjoy this car. Really is a different car from the DSG variant of this, because it just feels a lot more engaging. You can throw it around a little bit more because it just feels so much different in the manual variety from the DSG. Don't get me wrong, if I was buying this car, I would buy the DSG, mainly because I'm pretty lazy when it comes to cars like this. But today I'm actually really enjoying changing gear and having that grip and the throw down notchiness, into second, pops and bangs coming out the back. There's a little bit more engagement in this car than if you were in a DSG variant. Now, the thing to really talk about here is that if you're running, stage 1, stage 2, I don't really like talking in stages, but that's pretty much the lingo that people talk about when buying or modifying one of these cars. At about 400 horsepower, it's got an air filter, it's got the Miltech Res exhaust system with the flap, so it can shut up, which is quite nice, and it makes a nice burble, this car. It really does. As you come down, it makes nice pops and bangs, nothing over the top. but it's just right, and it does give a better sensation for the Mark 7 chassis, it being a manual. I would say if you are daily driving this and you're used to DSGs and, you know, various cars that do everything for you yourself, you can throw loads of power through the DSG boxes, but the manual is so much more engaging, especially when you do throw some power through it. I do know, you know, I've driven one of these completely standard from the factory, and the clutch feels relatively the same. There is a slight more bite from this sacked clutch, but nothing to really write home about. It feels really strong. You know, the clutch isn't slipping or anything, which is just such good news in my opinion. You know, when throwing this thing around, once you do stamp on it, there's no sort of give in that clutch assembly, which is really, really nice. This thing is rapid. But yeah, I think for the UK B roads, if you do live down somewhere that's, you know, a little bit more intricate with its B roads, and you want to have something that's fun, but yes, the Mark 7 chassis could be led itself to believe to be boring because of the DSG variants of these Rs. The second you get a manual variant that has the right kit on it, has the right clutch, is making the right noise, it's not droning, it's not surging in power. And I think 400 horsepower in one of these, perfect amount of power in this Mark 7 chassis with a manual box. You're not necessarily chasing every rev, you're not chasing every gear, because you can enjoy, you know, a second and third, fourth gear pull, not really having to change gear too much throughout the rev, because the torque's really low down on this car. It feels so nice to drive, and again, it's so much more engaging as a driver to get out of, say, a DSG or an automatic variant of a hot hatch and actually get into a manual version of a performance hot hatch. Again, I don't think that the newer stuff is going to be like this. You know, the Mark 8s and the S3s of this next generation aren't necessarily going to have manual boxes, which is going to be a shame. So this could be the last hurrah for the Golf R having manual box. Think about it that way, and it becomes a little bit of a different car. If you start looking at the new cars that are coming out these days, not value for money, this is incredible value for money. Just under 20 grand you can get one of these for. Yes, you can get a more high mileage version for a lot less. I've seen them kicking around under 15 at the moment. This one, you know, with the mods on it, all of the stage 2 stuff, lowered on H&R springs with the Maxton kit, you know, Miltech back boxes and centre pipes, you're looking at about 18-19 grand for this car, with 39,000 miles that this one's on. Again, that isn't even running in VW land. I believe that these cars could pretty much go forever if they're serviced properly. Yeah, it's just an interesting thing, because this car is readily available for you guys to go and buy, easy to finance, because, you know, this is a 2016 car. If you wanted to put a couple of grand down and, you know, £300-400 a month, depending on your credit score, you could get this car very, very easily. It's £60 to fill this up with Tesco Momentum. This is what this car is mapped to on the island, because we don't have a shell, unfortunately. Tax, you're looking at £205 a year. Insurance group on this is 29. Interestingly enough, the S3 of the same generation, so same sort of price, you know, a 2016-2017 car, would be group 36, which is obviously a lot more money for you to actually go and not necessarily buy that on face value, but to run it, your insurance might be a lot more on an S3 equivalent. Mods, well, I'd always say try and buy one of these with the mods already done. The Miltech exhaust systems are incredibly expensive. Splitter kits and stuff, you know, £300, £400, £500, and the clutch will probably work you into just under £1,000 supplied and fitted. So you're getting a lot of car for this money, really. You're getting a fantastic daily driver. This one's got heated seats, fantastic sound system. All the Golf seem to have very, very good sound systems these days. And as a driver's car, but you want a Golf R, this is the prime car for you to buy. It's nice and notchy. You can work with the clutch and the gearbox, and yes, it's so fast. Like hilarious how fast these new cars are. It's madness. So yeah, I'd say if you are after a manual variant of a hot hatch, maybe you're getting out of a Fiesta and, you know, you don't want an M car or various cars like that, go and have a look at these. They aren't the most obvious choice. I don't think that many people would think, oh no, I'd buy a Golf R manual. Most people are going after the DSG. It's definitely a talking point, because feels a lot different to any of the other R's that I've driven. Again, I haven't had a lot of seat time in a manual R, so it's really nice to take this out. It is really a completely different car to any of the DSG ones, because I'm not going to say they're boring, but they are lacking in something. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you all on the next one.